because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, looking through the sunroof.
My name is Varun Kapadia. I am 21 years old. I'm an artist, producer, creative director, and founder of my own streetwear line called Yves Streetwear, written as YV, but you like pronounce it, so it's Yves. Um, so yeah, I'm born and raised in Mumbai. I spent my whole life here. I went to the same school, nothing crazy in terms of like no switching schools, none of that moving around stuff. Um, I after school I went to I'm currently studying at Tufts University in Boston, which is where I'm doing my undergrad. So I will be going into my senior year now, like this September, and I'm double majoring in psychology and music. It's technically not music, it's music, sound, and culture. It's this major that they have for the kids who are not so into the theory side of things, because it's not really a music school. But yeah, I'm doing that's my major, and
That's cool.
yeah.
I have a lot to say about that, but I think I want to wait for you to finish your intro first.
Oh, okay. I was about to go on a rant about that, but
No,
there's
we
nothing.
can,
I
we
mean,
can.
okay, I was just saying like I'm not musically trained at all. I don't have any like formal training. I didn't do any of those exams and all that shit when I was younger. Like I just totally like kind of went the autodidact way, taught myself everything off of YouTube. And I remember when I was younger, GarageBand used to have, this is like 10 years ago ish, GarageBand used to have built in lessons, like pre recorded videos of like this instructor showing you, oh, this is how to play, and like this is that, like pre recorded tutorials built in on the old version of GarageBand. And I remember like watching those videos a lot when I was younger, then trying to play around with GarageBand and with different instruments. Like I moved around with like guitar mainly, then like drums, keyboard, and a lot of random stuff in between, xylophone, cajon, all that kind of stuff. So I'm very intrigued by instruments, how they work, live sounds. Even though I'm not formally trained, I always found myself just like gravitating towards instruments and just sound in general, and how I can find a new sound or like experiment with a new style. um and I've always been into like audio gear, audio tech. So like going into like over here in Bombay, there's like Furtado's, which is like the music store uh, near the Metro Cinema, and I used to go there after school because my school was right there, and it was like walking into like, it's like walking into like a toy store or something even better than that, like the biggest thrill ever. You go in, you test out guitars. Like the smallest thing would get me excited, like oh, some new strings they had or some shit like that. It would just always be a thrill. So I've always been intrigued with audio tech, audio gear. So it eventually moved from instruments to kind of MIDI instruments, so like electronic production equipment. And I guess when I was about 16, I started to try and produce properly. Then by the time I was like 18, I full on got into it and shit. And I guess.
Now I'm bleeding on the roses, yeah. Yeah, feel like I got too many gaps in my memory. All I know is all the raps and the melodies. Yeah, bitch, I got the cure like a remedy. And I'm killing all the bars with a felony. Say, kid, you up next, what they telling me. And everybody know my name like I'm Kennedy. And everybody looking at me, I'm an enemy. But I'm an enemy to myself, I need therapy. And I'm looking through the sunroof.
It's amazing that you started this like kind of discovery process so early on. And I think some of the best way, like, or best type of learning, or the best way to learn is like self-motivated. I think especially I feel like when you're in the creative space, yeah, a degree is almost like, it's not completely necessary, because I think a lot of the kind of passion comes from within, right? And then I guess the degree helps kind of round things up a bit, and maybe help connect with people, and just to get a sense of what the industry is like. But yeah, I completely agree. For myself too, as an artist, and I grew up in a creative environment. Both my parents are artists. My dad's a cartoonist, my mom's a painter, sculptor, gallery owner. So I kind of grew up in this environment, and I myself also didn't study any kind of formal art. I actually, in fact, did like an undergrad in economics and then did a master's in politics. It was only after like 4 years of that I switched and became a full-time artist. And so in this whole time, I was always creating, So I think that, it similar to what you're saying, instead of going to a music store, I would be intrigued by, other things like photography was what I, started with. And so just like playing with light, with your camera and just going around and photographing. I mean, that itself was like, every day you go and photograph something new and you'd be like excited that, oh my God, this camera can do this, or you can do this with images, you can do this with composition, or, um, so yeah, no, I really like that story. So you always felt like kind of intrigued or inclined towards music. How did that change once you went into college? Like, I know you started all of this by yourself, right? Because now you're studying music. How does that relationship
Yeah.
evolved?
I mean, it's funny you say your story with like politics and econ and stuff, because I was in a very similar space when I was applying to college. Like, I was always into music. I was always into like creative stuff in general, including photography and including just like anything to do with the camera, filming stuff. I was always into that stuff, but I didn't ever think it would be something that I take seriously. But I knew at the back of my mind, like I would always find myself just falling back on it. Like it just came bad at the end of the day. But when I applied to college, I wanted to do completely different stuff. I wanted to do like history and international relations and maybe political science, econ, that kind of stuff. I was into that in school. I loved history in school, so I was like, I'll go to college and I'll do the same thing and it'll be fun or whatever. I didn't really think it through at all. But then I applied to college. I applied to Tufts for like an entirely history based like portfolio or whatever, and I got there, and I haven't even done one international relations class. I haven't even done intro to IR. Like, I didn't even enroll in the class, because when I got there, I was like, I don't even know what it is. Like, I don't really give a shit that much for me to like major in it and like be so involved in the subject. So my freshman year and like midway into my sophomore year as well, I was just kind of experimenting with different subjects. I guess I was doing econ for the longest time. I thought that was what my major was going to be. Then I thought, okay, I'll do econ and film, so I did film for a bit. I was doing music classes by default anyways, because I was like, how can I not do a music class, like I never had music in school and stuff.
Yeah, it sounded like
Yeah.
you knew what you wanted to do, but you were still like
I was
trying to
just
see if
yeah
there's something else.
Yeah, I was just scared to accept what
Yeah,
what what it really was to me. And then I
yeah,
just figured it out by the time I was in some international econ class, like some international trade or something like that. And thing is, I like econ, it's fun and stuff until they
yeah.
involve the math.
It's
And
all
I don't really
stats. Yeah,
I don't
I
want to
know
sit
that.
and do stats and stuff. Like, I feel like my mind can work better in different places, like creative stuff,
Yeah,
which is like my strength. So I don't.
yeah,
I had like a whole epiphany and stuff in my
yeah,
end of freshman year. I'm sitting in class, and it's like those big classes, like those auditorium like classes. So I'm all the way at the back,
yeah,
and I'm on my laptop, and like I'm sneakily, I've got like some one earphone in, and I'm making some
yeah,
beat, and then I was like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, you're in some econ class, you're making a
yeah,
beat, you have to figure your shit out. So
yeah,
then I was like, I might as well just, if I am majoring in something, I have to take music as either my major or my minor, because I'm anyways doing it. So how hard can it be to just make it into your major while also just pursuing my artist stuff at the same time? So they offer this major called the Music, Sound, and Culture major, which is like it's like an alternative to like pure music, where they teach you a little bit of everything. So I thought that fit my just my character pretty well. So they teach you a bit of history, a bit of theory, a bit of production elements, that kind of stuff. So I've been doing that, and then I kind of like discovered psychology in school, in college, not really in school. So in school, I didn't ever do psych. I didn't know. I didn't even think psych would be my thing.
I mean,
I
in
always
India, the
thought I'd be
system is way more rigid, right? In India, the system,
way more.
yeah. So in the US, it allows you to explore things that you didn't think were possible in a way.
Absolutely,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely. Like, and the thing is, like, my school, like my high school, like I did the IB program, so that's supposed to be like a liberal, like modern kind of curriculum compared to like ICSE, which is what I did till the 10th, which is a completely different story. But IB, my school was very new to IB, so they didn't even offer the kind of more creative side of um subjects in school. So like music wasn't there, drama wasn't there, theater and all this stuff was just not offered in the first place. So it's not even like we had an option to take it or not take it. We just had to take whatever they offered, which was like econ and sciences and stuff like that. So when I came to Tufts, I decided, let me try psychology. It's very popular here. A lot of my friends have told me that I would like it. So I sat in class and then I just like really liked the subject. I realized that this is something that I would study because it's about the human condition, it's about the brain, it's about behavior. And it's not like I'm trying to move into psychology as a career. Like I'm not like opposed to it or anything, but I don't see myself doing it as a career. But the skills that I learned through psychology, whatever few I remember from class, help me like in music. They help me in like my day-to-day activities. They help me in just like imbibing things around me and appreciating things, talking to people. Like whatever I'm learning, it definitely rubs off on my psyche and the way I want to present myself. And more than that, it just helps me like grow as a person individually, which is a large reason why I pick psych. And the department is very strong. And I never knew in my life that I would do like an entire class called emotion. Like that stuff is sick to me. So, um, like as an artist and as a creative, I think psych really helps me unlock certain parts of my brain. But it's again like you can do without it also. It's not like
yeah. No, I mean, I think it's important to be able to kind of pull from different aspects of life, and even with
yeah,
the way your degree is kind of framed with music, culture, and sound. I mean, yeah, it definitely involves all these different kind of aspects. I think music is probably one of the most powerful forms of the arts, in a way, because it's something that people can have with them wherever they go, and it's something that you can always
absolutely.
be listening to, as opposed to some other more rigid forms of art where, for example, a movie, you have to sit through it for like hours, or you
Yeah,
go to a gallery and you only then can experience certain kinds of fine artwork and stuff like that. So it's powerful. um, and then unlocking the human mind in connection to that, I think, it's a very like strong kind of mix.
yeah.
Yeah, man, very cool. So I know you said you were making these beats while you were in class. Did you ever release that beat, that you made in your last economics
Yeah,
class? You did?
it's it's funny like my so often in these classes they involve like okay, so like 10-15% of your grade is like your creative project. So that shit was like a breeze for me because I used to just do like, hey, you should just make a song or make a beat. Oh, this is an econ beat. They don't give a shit. So like so I used to like I remember in my one of my econ classes I made a whole econ based rap and I put it on SoundCloud and then the professor loved it so much she made us like present it to the class. So I'm just standing in front of my class and I just hit play and I'm just standing there just staring at me while my voice is like rapping on the speakers and stuff. So I would do stuff like that for my creative projects. I would like make songs, write lyrics based on like the chapters and stuff. So yeah, even like in terms of like my interest in fashion and stuff would start to like formalize itself in I'd say like maybe like 2 years ago. Around the same time I was like finding myself in music, I was always interested in fashion and materials and the way like just apparel in general. More like I was very interested in brand, like just the concept of brand and like brand design and stuff like that. Because it's always been like, oh, I've always wanted to like kind of design and start something of my own. And but I didn't really know anything about it. I never studied anything in fashion or anything regarding this. Um, my dad is an architect, so like I get some creative like there's some blood in me, but it's like yeah, but yeah, like fashion wise and stuff, I kind of just had to go out, go to different stores, look at different brands, feel different materials, and then I was like, this is something which is dope. But even for like these creative projects that I had in school, like one class I did earlier, like CBS, like cognitive brain science. For the creative project, I like designed an apparel collection.
Wow.
Each piece is like a different chapter of the textbook because I had to follow the rubric. I have to like get,
Yeah,
get the
yeah,
grade and stuff. So
yeah,
yeah, it's fun. Like for these creative projects in college, I'm always going all out with either music
yeah.
or something creative.
Were
So
you a kind of an anomaly in class, or in this sense, or were there other people also doing crazy things, like or doing alternative ways of, approaching
uh,
these assignments?
I honestly I don't think I don't think there were many people doing weird shit like me because like
Yeah,
these creative projects, whenever there was a creative assignment, it would be like a big thing for a lot of my friends, like, oh shit, what do I do for my creative project? Maybe I'll just make like
yeah,
a
yeah.
presentation. And I'd be like, come on, man, like what do you mean presentation? Like do something fun. Like, you can literally
Yeah,
do anything. I'm gonna give you the
yeah,
grade.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
like, oh no, then I might just write a paper, and then I'll just be like, bro, what?
That's
So
cool.
I feel like I was
Yeah,
an anomaly, but I always enjoy
of
doing
course.
creative tasks. So I didn't even look at it as an assignment. It became like my own kind of project by the end of it. And then I remembered I have
Hmm.
to actually submit this and like follow
Yeah,
the rubric and stuff.
yeah.
So yeah.
So, so how did you go from there to, getting to a point where you're actually releasing tracks? You're again like kind of formalizing everything, working, kind of within now the music industry. Yeah. How did that transition happen?
So I started like making music when I was like 16, 17, as I was saying, like, but I didn't really know what I was doing then. I still actually don't know much about production. I'm not like any mastermind regarding production technique or anything. I'm very basic with it. But the thing is, like, I figured out how to get certain sounds to work together and how they could sound together. I'm good with just understanding rhythms. I'm good at understanding what works and that kind of stuff. But when I started, I had no concept of anything. So when I was like 17, I started to um get into rap, like performing rap. Before that, I was very into like singer songwriter, acoustic sounding, ambient sounding music, and very much on the pop side of things. And I was very angsty as a 16, 17-year old. So that anger kind of like pushed me forward into like hip hop and rap. And my friends always used to encourage me, bro, you should rap. Like, don't sing, don't do all this Ed Sheeran stuff, go into like rap stuff. So I used to be like, maybe I'll try it out someday. And I ended up just trying it out while I was in school and trying to get into rap, English rap as a kid from Bombay. Like no one wants to do this. No one has even heard of this kind of a like forget about career, like not even as a passion. It was not a thing back then. Like it was very, very like like attention grabbing and then judgment is passed kind of thing. So so I was just like, I'll just do it. I'll try. I'll see how it goes. So I started to make beats on GarageBand as I was saying, and I used to like write my own raps and then put it out on SoundCloud. And I did that till like 2018 until I started to basically just get a little better at what I was doing. I had always found it easy to write. Obviously, my old stuff sounds like horrible now, but I found it easy to like just pen down my thoughts and make it sound metaphorical, make it sound like, something that doesn't sound too basic. And uh, I eventually just like decided, fuck it, let's go to a studio. So me and my producer at the time, we went to a recording studio. We recorded like this track, and
Which was your first
it's
track that you recorded?
my first ever track. So like I used to like release music uh all throughout 2017, bit of 2016 and 2018, but it was only in 2019 when I officially kind of formed my solid artist alias Mizuchi
Yeah.
in like June, July 2019. So around 2 years ago, I kind of announced I am Mizuchi. But I was releasing music before that, so people knew that I was releasing music before that. But it was of a different it was a different sound and it was a different level of production and like delivery and performance. It was just
Okay.
like a level below what I started to put out as
Yeah.
Mizuchi. And yeah, I just started to put it out on platforms because like I didn't know it was that easy to put it out on streaming platforms. I always thought like, oh, you have to like know some guy and all, but it's not like that at all.
Okay.
It's so easy. Anyone can put out their music on major streaming platforms. A lot of people, want to do this. They want to start, or they want to start releasing music, and they've asked me like, oh, how do you start? And I have no idea what to tell them because I don't remember what was going through my head when I started. I just kind of did it. Like I didn't overthink shit at the time. Now I'm a major overthinker, but at the time I used to like be like, oh, new song, come, we'll put it out like right now. Like it wasn't even like now when I have a song now, I have to like give Spotify a couple of weeks, send it out to magazines, send it out here or there. It's a whole process. But at the time it was just like, oh, cool. Like what is the earliest date it can come out? Choose that day and like just wait for it to come out and send the my friends. It's a very different process, but like looking back, it's like it's all fond memories. So I guess yeah, my process has just been like learn a little bit of producing on YouTube, get better, eventually get better with like word flow, diction, that kind of stuff. Then you know album artwork. It's like a whole process. It's like a lot of stuff goes into a song, not just like, oh, this is the lyrics or this is the beat. Because I'm also producing my own work, which a lot of people like kind of like don't know about my music. Is because I don't really like I don't go like, oh, I also produced it and all that. Like, okay, if you ask me, yeah, sure, I did produce it. But that's a different aspect of the game entirely. Like, so I have the perspective of the producer and the artist, which kind of it's like double the stress, but it's also I feel more secure as an artist because I know I made this beat, so I know how it should sound over this beat, kind of stuff. But it's because I just started doing everything by myself. I just started doing everything on my own. So I didn't know there was this concept of like, oh, this guy can make the beat for me. So then I'll just flow over it. And so I just made it myself and it just went from there.
And I'm turning 21 this year. And you thought that I'd be done this year. I've just begun this year. Sick of walking, I just wanna run this year. Sweet tongue with a passion. She looking at me like I'm handsome. But she feeling like a phantom. Yeah, she feeling like a phantom, baby. Sweet tongue with a passion. She looking at me like I'm handsome. But she feeling like a phantom. Yeah, she feeling like a phantom, like a ghost. Why you being so...
This is the liberating aspect of, I guess, having a period of creation and discovery before you get into a formal kind of school. So this allows you to kind of, go into the game kind of open-minded completely and allow you to actually experiment without any inhibitions and all these aspects.
Yeah, exactly. Like going off of that, like in my sophomore year, I was thinking a lot about like kind of transferring to a music school, like to I wanted to apply to Berkeley School of Music. And when I was applying to college that time, also, like people asked me, did you apply to Berkeley and stuff? But I just said no because I didn't even apply to music school then. I didn't even know if I want to go to a music school entirely because I don't know. I don't want to be like just music all the time. I've been good teaching myself so far. So I didn't think like at the time. But then in my sophomore year, when I started to realize that, what I want to do with music, like production and that kind of stuff, is not offered here at this uni. I was like, shit, like, maybe I should think about transferring. And then I thought about it a bit more. And then I was like, I don't really need that. Like, I know a lot of Berkeley kids who are not doing what I'm doing, but they probably are like maestros in any kind of piano work or anything. So even in my uni, like if I sit in these theory classes and stuff, I am like the worst in class. I'm at the back. I don't say one word. I don't know shit. And everyone around me is like straight up like it's like knowing a language, right? It's like you need to know a language. And these kids have grown up studying music theory, reading sheet music, and I've not done any of that. So I'm surrounded by people who know a language who are proficient in a language that I don't even know the basics of. So it's a huge gap between, people in my class and me. And that used to bother me because I was like, shit, maybe like I have to know this to get better at production. And to an extent, yeah, it definitely helps. It pushes you out a lot more. But then like they think about things very mechanically in my opinion. Like if I were to sit if the assignment was, sit down and kind of make a song or make a beat, I could maybe make a beat in like say 10, 12 minutes kind of thing. Like because I know how to start, I know what to look for, how to find samples, and I also know the languages of like I know how to use a like a software to make beats. But that's assuming that everyone knows that. It would still be a different process for kids who have like fully grown up understanding the technicalities of music. So I've kind of had to make my peace with that because I don't think in my life I'm ever going to reach that kind of mastermind level with understanding music and all that stuff. But I've never known it, and I've kind of I've reached this part of my life without knowing any of that. So I I think it's okay.
Yeah, like started the interview by saying, I mean, you're still so young and you're still early on in your kind of growth. So I mean, the more you're in this space, I think it's just gonna come to you naturally, like absorbing
Yeah,
things naturally and intuitively rather than structurally, which could be like a benefit because that could actually add, a different sound to your whole like
exactly.
music. I mean, speaking on that note, which is one of the reasons I, like your music caught my attention because when I discovered your sound, your music, there was something about the beats, the sound that really intrigued me, and I like hip hop a lot, but I kind of don't listen to it right now as much as I used to maybe when I was growing up. So kind of the early 2000s, but also the classics like Biggie and Snoop Dogg and all
Mhm.
these guys. So, but my kind of knowledge kind of ends there. I'm with music, I'm very eclectic, so I go through different phases, listening to different kind of things. Right now, I mean, I love deep house music, progressive house. So I'm kind of in that space, and so there was something that kind of got my attention with with your beats, which is why I connected with you in the first place. And I know like one of the earlier times we spoke, you were saying, you kind of uh, want to explore different genres of music, and I can actually see how even in the few years from your first songs with like Bombay to I think the song that you just released this year, like Ocean Floor and stuff, like it's like almost two different but same in a way. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is actually like this phase I'm in right now with my life, and obviously my artist like artistry is fully connected with my personal life. Like I um I feel that I'm starting to move away from hip hop, but it's a very organic shift away. It's not like I'm leaving with bitterness away from hip hop and its sound. It's just that I've naturally started to gravitate towards more like deep house techno, lo-fi house sounding music, just more electronic in a lot of ways. And the thing is, like, I've never been like I love rap, I love hip hop, but I loved it a lot more when I was like younger, like maybe 3, 4 years ago. I was obsessed. I'm not obsessed today. I still love it, but that obsession kind of drove me a lot to make a very hip hop sounding sound and track. And production wise, I would be like, okay, this works for hip hop, this works really well for this and that. And in fact, it's not even like this shift happened uh, a long time ago. It kind of like I've always known that I want to like do different genres of music, and I've been very intrigued by dancehall, Afrobeat, hip hop, and electronica. But my exposure to different kinds of music happened as I kind of ventured out into my college life and what I do in the US. So before I left for the US, I left for the US in 2018. Before that, I was just fully rap. Even in the US for like my first year, I was also like for my first semester, to be honest, I was all rap. Then around 2019, so like 2.5 years ago, I started to like explore electronic. Like I'd always listened to electronic. I'd always been like listening to like, oh yeah, deep house and EDM and shit when I was younger. But I never like, like a music genre, you kind of see it from afar and you appreciate it, but you don't choose to dive into it. You might dip your toe into it, but like you don't really dive into it and swim around and see these random new artists that you never thought would like ever appeal to you. So like that process was very eye-opening for me because I thought when I was like rewind to like when I was 17, 18, I would have thought like, yeah, bro, like rap is everything. No genre is ever gonna touch what I feel for rap and hip hop. And I've fully accepted that. So it's not even like I had an open mind. I was just like, yeah, man, like rap is it. Other genres will come and go, but rap is my pinnacle and that's all I can make. Then I started to figure out that, you know, maybe it's not the case. And now I'm in this phase where, honestly, now I'm in this phase like where I'm having a full scale artist crisis, to be honest. I don't know if I want to be making hip hop anymore. Like, because all my music so far primarily is very hip hop sounding. In December last year, like December 2020, I decided to put out my first house sounding track, which is a song called Rogue Planet, for which I also did some visuals and stuff. That's like very inspired by lo-fi house, which is like a very soft chill genre of deep house, which I really enjoy. And I basically, like, the thing is, like, I got into music, like making music. I didn't get in it to make rap, nor did I get in it to, like, for like fame or anything. Like, I don't give a shit about any of that. I never thought like I would be here, like, with people knowing my music and all that kind of stuff. Like, I never thought that ever. But it happened through rap. So I thought, okay, maybe this is my thing, so I have to stick to rap. But the thing is, like, I don't feel the need anymore to like stick to one genre of music at all. Anyways, like with my EP last year, which had Bombay and stuff on it, it also had some elements of like dance hall poppy kind of sounds to it. But now I'm in this place where, like, I basically only want to put out music that makes people feel something, and that's the reason why I got into it in the first place. Along the way, I kind of lost myself in the thrill of chasing popularity and streams and this and that, and getting more people to listen and becoming like the next, like, oh, this, that. Like, I had that whole process and stuff, and I'm here now with, like, I have like a certain amount of presence, but it's nothing crazy. Like, I'm not like the next hugest thing here in India or anything. But the thing is, like, I'm okay with that because I'm still trying to find out what kind of music I'm trying to put out. Right now, people just know me for rap, but they don't know that I can give my listeners a lot more in terms of just emotional value, because I want people to like listen to my music and feel like, oh fuck man, this was crazy, like feel like crying kind of stuff. So I want to make people feel a lot of like emotions when they listen to my music, and I have to figure that out. I haven't been able to like tap into that, but when I released Rogue Planet and like songs like Ocean Floor, people were definitely like understanding this next wave that I'm trying to move into, and channel that kind of emotional, like that ethos regarding my sound.
At the hideaway, I see the brighter days. All this time, don't let me throw my whole life away. I've been so lost, she asked me what are you hoping for. Need the light when I go down to the ocean floor. Like, I've been thinking about when you'll be mine. All I wanna hear is you'll be fine. I don't really have the words tonight. Take my heart, let's watch it burn tonight.
Right now in that space where I'm fully exploring a lot of house, I'm exploring a lot of like electronic, and I'm just on a hiatus currently from making music. I'm doing some features and all for some of my friends, but I'm not making anything of my own until I figure out my shit. So I'm just
Yeah,
gonna be producing for a while. I'm gonna be producing on my own in silence in my bat cave, like experimenting with different sounds. But my plan is to basically take some time off because I usually release pretty frequently. Like, I'm
yeah,
always
yeah,
on a new song, or like
yeah,
so I don't know what it's like to take a break. Like, even right now as I'm telling you and stuff, I
yeah,
feel so weird just saying it because there's
yeah.
always something like, oh, I have to do this for this song, and this is the song after that, and all that. So
Well, I'm gonna give you some info that this feeling will never go, dude. You're gonna go
I
through
know, I
your
know.
like life feeling like you're always kind of catching up. So I think it's fine. Like, yeah, that's never gonna go. So, but I just wanted to say, when you were talking about how you were kind of going between these two genres, like I said, I felt that it felt natural, it felt organic, the evolution of where you went, what you started, and where you're kind of going, and I could feel, I think, I could feel something that you were trying to communicate something, and I didn't feel like it
So the
was
thing is, like,
jarring,
honestly, yeah. Like, that's the thing which I'm honestly dealing with right now is the shift from away from hip hop. It's mainly just a mental thing within myself. It's not even like I'm like looking back on hip hop as if it's like, oh, that's in my past. Or I'm not looking back on hip hop like, oh, fuck hip hop, I don't give a shit about hip hop anymore. I'm trying to deal with this internal shift to a new kind of sound without feeling guilty about leaving hip hop. So it's more of like it's just like a thing within me. It's not even like my listeners are gonna care that much. Like, it's more of like how I choose to present myself as an artist after I have this shift and I'm secure with myself, after knowing that there's no guilt involved in moving away from this genre and moving into some new territory. So that's what I'm taking time to figure out.
Yeah, and plus you don't want to box yourself in. That's up to other people, right? Like if you start putting yourself in a box, then that's the end. You're gonna limit
Exactly,
yourself. So
exactly.
that's like almost like a battle you don't want to like fight. You might
No,
as well
no
just
way.
do your own thing.
Yeah, that's the
Man,
thing. I don't
that's
even listen to hip hop. Like, the thing is, I don't even listen to hip hop anymore. Like, I mean, I listen obviously. It's not like I don't listen, but it's like in my recently liked songs on Spotify, every like 20 songs, maybe you'll see a hip hop sounding song.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
mainly just electronic, so it's
So
weird.
what happens to the name Mizuchi then? Are you gonna switch that or keep it?
No, I'll keep it. I'll keep it. I've thought about this shit as well, but I'm gonna keep it because I've established certain things with this name, so I feel like I'll be able to draw people into my new sound via this name as well.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think it should
awesome.
be fine.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask you about your like some of your biggest influences, like in terms of music. I mean, I think now maybe you can, yeah, you can go from what inspired you as a kid to what's inspiring you now.
hmm so like that's like the hardest question because my influences are literally like a vast expanse of all sorts of different like things. So I guess music wise, when I was a kid, I like my dad actually got me into music when I was super young, like when I was basically like a child types. And he used to play a lot of old rock in the car and in the house on his CDs and stuff. A lot of Eagles, Dire Straits, Eric Clapton, that kind of stuff. Some 70s, 80s rock, soft rock. I listened to a lot of Aerosmith. Like, basically when I was younger, that's all I listened to, and it kind of morphed my taste a lot. As I got older, as I moved into like 2011, around when I was like 12 or whatever, I discovered like Eminem, and Eminem became like he became like everything for me, and I listened to Eminem non-stop, like till I was like 16, 17. He was like my favorite artist ever, and he inspired me a lot to like channel my feelings and express and just I don't know. He was just a huge inspiration for me when I was younger. Him and J. Cole, like two of my biggest like rap inspirations, and Kanye, I would say these three. For sure, when I was like younger, this is like my biggest thing. Kanye is still one of my like ongoing inspirations in terms of everything creative.
Yeah, yes,
So
definitely.
I look up to him a lot. But I would say like my number one creative inspiration of all time would be John Bellion. He's this artist who makes like kind of electro pop, very like very cool sounding stuff, but still not so edgy that you're pushed away from the the magnetic elements of the sound. Like, you should check him out when you can. Just get John Bellion. Like,
I haven't heard of
people
him. I'm
see.
gonna check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Not many people know him, but he's very like he's not very out there in terms of the way he presents himself and markets himself. But his music is insane, very emotional, and he's involved in the industry in many ways as a songwriter, producer, and all. But he has his own music, which is insane. And um, as a kid, he like I used to watch a lot of his making of videos.
Cool.
So he posts these making of videos on YouTube, and it's just straight up insane. Like, it's so inspiring. It's so
Yeah.
inspiring. Like, I can watch those I've already seen them like 100,000 times. I can still watch them again and again.
Yeah.
So
Cool, man. Are
yeah.
you gonna put out some making of yours too? Is
I've
that
thought about
is that
it, but it
yeah?
is like I don't know how to film it to be honest. Like these guys, when they make music, they have like some two guys holding cameras and then some cool space and shit. My whole process is so solitary, like I don't even realize, but I'm
Yeah,
like
yeah,
in 4 or 5 hours in and like I've not filmed anything. But yeah, in the future I'd love to have some
yeah.
making of.
So did the kind of pandemic, when we were all like kind of forced to kind of take a break almost from the rhythm, did that did that time actually give you, the space for you to reflect and think, okay, I'm going to start experimenting more and with the like kind of a new sound. And Yeah, did that help or shape your kind of decision?
I feel like my quarantine time was extremely pivotal in almost all senses of my artistry and stuff because um I I in quarantine I was just basically thinking about my entire journey a lot, and I was just like kind of I was lost in um like kind of looking. I was trying to look for the next way to like become big at the same time, trying to preserve my own sound. And it was a period where I was kind of lost in the process of releasing because I was pretty determined to be the next thing, but then along the way I lost myself and I was like, what am I doing? I didn't enter this for this kind of stuff. um but it's fine. Like it's fine. Like I totally came to terms with the fact that chasing streams, chasing fame, chasing attention is not my thing at all. It was never my thing, and I had to accept that this is not an organic way to grow as an artist. And I basically had a lot of lows in quarantine, as I guess everyone did. And at one of my lowest points, I decided to push forward for a new project. So I was working on an album at the time. I had a whole album ready, and then I scrapped the whole album because I was like, this is shit and all that. And then I was like, let me start from scratch. And then I put together this EP, which is my Myth EP. And I decided to play around with some Indian samples, some ethnic sounding beats, which I hadn't done before. And people have always told me, like, oh, why don't you involve some Indianness? Why don't you get some Hindi rap and all? And I've always been like, like, I don't know what to tell them. So this time I was like, maybe production wise, I can bring in some Indian sounding stuff, but not too tacky and not too in your face kind of stuff. Like, so that's when like I made Bombay and stuff, which basically, yeah, I made that EP and then I put that out, and pretty much my whole life changed because like I didn't I I've been releasing music and stuff before that, and I have an album before my Myth EP. It was only 4 songs, and it's like 4 short songs, not like a big body of work, not very ambitious, but still it was like people reaching out to me from all sorts of different streams and telling me they've heard this EP and they really like Bombay. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like sitting at home in quarantine. Like I made it on this desk where I'm doing this interview. Like I don't have any equipment. I don't have anything. I was just using my laptop and like, I released the EP and it just really put me out there in ways that I never thought I'd be put out. And then after this EP and after Bombay and all that stuff, I was like able to, connect with people who had already heard of me. And even now when I like talk to people, they're like, oh yeah, I've heard Bombay and stuff, which is still very surreal to me.
Singing like young kid in the city. Bombay looking pretty. Big dreams got him dizzy. Okay, I'm on the chase like Vinny. Singing like young kid in the city. Bombay looking pretty. Big dreams got him dizzy. I'm on the chase like Vinny. Singing like born with the wings.
That's amazing
no
that
halo.
it came out of
Always making magic,
after you
even when
actually scrapped what you wanted to release, and then you just made this for yourself, I think, and you just put it out, and that's what got like people listening, which is I didn't know that. Really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, like I couldn't even like August last year around this time was when the EP was starting to like really pick up some traction, and like I had never ever imagined like this kind of stuff would happen fully organically. Like I don't have a manager or a team or any agent or anything like that. So I was just trying to push out my own project by myself, and people were really eager to kind of hear my story at that point, and that was sick. Like that was insane. So like yeah, I mean since then it's just been a journey. But the thing is like that was again a very hip hop sounding EP, and now I'm in this place where I don't know if I want to be making hip hop. So I'm in this like weird space. Like,
Was this around the same time you were also kind of exploring your clothing label? Um, when did that come about? Like how did that happen?
yeah, so like that was so my partner on this, his name is Yuthi. Him and I are like he's basically like my childhood best friend, and we were in nursery together. We grew up together. He studies in New York, I study in Boston, so we would meet a lot, and we both are very passionate about streetwear, street fashion, and just fashion in general. And we thought, uh, why don't we like start our own thing? It was just like a very like why don't we just do it types. It wasn't planned. It wasn't, there was no like, there was no full on business mind to it. We were freshmen in college, so we were still like we're babies. Like we were like, no, let's start this stuff. And then we tried to like, we tried to like, so we don't even have a background in design, so it was just like us trying to fuck around with concepts, sitting in the park drawing on like notebooks, color pencils, coloring shit. And it was like it was a fun, extremely like in terms of just stuff I learned, heavy journey. And finally after like 1.5 years of conceptualizing and trying to figure out what we wanted to do, we created these four designs which are inspired by inverted states of mind and inverted colors. And that's then when I came back this summer, like literally like 2 weeks ago, we launched the official collection because we had everything in place finally after working on it like through the pandemic and remotely. And then we were in the US and trying to get clothes made in India and all. It was a big nightmare. Plus my like two kids trying to navigate this world. We don't know shit. So like it was hard. It was hard. Like it was like definitely a challenge, but we managed to somehow pull it off. And like people are buying and stuff, which is very surreal to me.
Congratulations. I mean, I know
Thank
from
you, man.
being in this space, it's not easy to bring the whole thing together. I think designing actually might be the easiest part of the whole
Yeah,
process.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Everything else is like it's like you're moving a mountain to get like the smallest thing done, But yeah, it's amazing. So, what is the story behind the brand itself? Like, do you have like an elevator
So
pitch?
yeah, yeah. I mean, so it's basically like the brand is, so when we started, we were actually under a different name, and then we weren't really feeling this name and stuff. And we started to talk about our journey as like just young creators and like what it really means to like, um harness the creative energy within yourself as a youthful, like as being part of the youth. And in 2019 April, me and him were in New York, and we were just talking, we were on the road and stuff. And then we were just like, um we were just like we were smoking and shit, we were blazing downstairs outside some hotel. And then we were talking about how we weren't happy with the name. It was under a different name. And then we were like, this is not a cool name. We're not feeling ourselves. And then we were having some completely different level cosmic conversation about ourselves and our journey and like how much things have changed since school. And now you're in college, and things are just moving so rapidly. It's hard to keep up with this, with the pace of life. And we wanted to basically put forward like an identity which kind of expresses this, and at the same time weaves itself in and out of different themes that we wanted to like showcase through future designs. So our brand is a lens. It's just that's how I look at it. It's a lens through which people can view things in a different way, not through a judgy way, not through like any opinionated way. It's just a lens to look at things in a more artistic way. And that's what gave birth to Yves. We wrote our initials on some construction pillar, and we were like, oh look man, our names are on this pillar and shit. And then we were just looking at it, we were like, this looks, I like the way the letters go together, like. And then we're like, what if
Wait,
this is our name, like.
what does it mean, Eve?
it doesn't mean shit. It's an identity that we've created. It's basically
Okay,
like,
okay.
yeah. So it's like it's Yeev is like the letters of our names, like Yuti and Varun. But that's not what the brand is about. It's not about
Yeah, yeah,
us.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just an identity that was created by fluke by looking at the way the letters interact with one another and the way it sounds. So we basically wanted to give birth to a new age life form, like a cyber, more like youth oriented life form with a lens, which can be a part of different themes, different design concepts, and just establish itself as a new name. Like there's no meaning behind it, but the meaning comes from the designs and the way it's presented. So that's pretty much, it's very abstract. I honestly find it so hard to explain what it means or like what it is and stuff, but it just is. So
yeah.
it's
No, I
just an
like.
identity.
Yeah, I like your starting point, and congratulations again. And I want to
Thank
see,
you so much.
where this goes, and maybe how this also interweaves with your musical journey. Because I think
Absolutely, man.
it could be like a powerful, like, dual aspect that you have going on. So I'm intrigued where that goes. Um, I wanted to ask you about, like, inspiration. Where do you go when you're seeking inspiration, or is there like a ritual that you have, or is it?
So I honestly don't go anywhere. Like I don't like seek. So I don't know. It's like I don't really know. Like I'm not like looking for I'm always by default looking for inspiration, but it's so subconscious that I'm not actually I don't realize that I'm looking, but I'm just imbibing stuff, and then whatever sits with me in the best way becomes inspiring. Like from the smallest things to like certain materials to like the way certain things are placed on a desk to like the way somebody's dressed to the way you know an app is designed, or of course music and clothes and all of the direct stuff. um I don't know. I just find myself getting inspired by almost everything in my daily life. It's just about then what sits right with me in that moment and what my mood is at the time. But if I'm really looking to get inspired, I'm very inspired by like anime and stuff. I watch a lot of anime. I'm into films and stuff. I like watching films, music, of course, and mainly I would say like right now, like as I was saying, I'm in this space where like I'm taking a break from music. I'm feeling a bit uninspired. Like I don't really know. Even if I were to make a song today and make like a hip hop sound, I would be able to do it and I would be able to write some stuff, but it would be very similar to what I've written before, and kind of production wise also I'm hitting a ceiling, so it sound like what I've made before. So which is why I'm looking forward now to like kind of usually what I would do is like my approach has fully changed as a result of this whole space that I'm in, because I would always like anything I feel inspired by, I would immediately just think, oh shit, I'm gonna make this into a song. Like I wouldn't think twice. Like I'll just be like, yeah, this is what I'll use for my next track. But now I want to be in a space where, wow, this inspired me. That's it. I'm just gonna let it sit within me. I'm gonna let it digest, and then I'm gonna see if it still sits with me in a week or so while I'm still out there imbibing different things. So I want it to be like an energy change within me. I don't want to like just look at shit and be like, oh, okay, now this song, now that song kind of thing. So now when I go to the US, I'm just gonna, keep my eye out for things that I like and just see where it takes me. It's a very random process, honestly, bro. Like it's like I don't know how to explain.
No, it's interesting that you're so, like, kind of self-reflective, which I think is cool. Uh, but in Bombay, like, for example, now you were saying, you feel a little bit uninspired. Like, now, if you had to go around in Bombay, where would you go? Like, do you have a spot? Do you have a neighborhood? Do you have a place?
Yeah, I guess. Honestly, like I don't even think I've ever like gone around Bombay to be inspired. I feel like I should do that. But honestly, like in Bombay, I would say Bombay for me, like coming home and stuff from college is not even about the city. Um it's about my relationships that I have here in the
Yeah,
city,
true.
and that's definitely something that has come to come to like my attention through my experiences in college, where I meet people from other parts of the world who often don't have that many relationships that they can fall back on from high school or from their home city,
Yeah,
hometown kind of stuff. And that's when I started to see the difference between this whole like collective this collective culture versus this individualistic society culture, which is in the US.
Yeah.
And then that's what made me realize that, like, I am who I am because of my relationships, my friends, my family, that kind of stuff. And these people in the US, like, they don't put that much importance on like family and like, just like relationships that they want to keep for life kind of stuff. It's a very like you're for yourself and you do things for yourself and that kind of culture, which is fine. Like, it's not like I'm going on that shit. It's just like I come from a totally different point of view just by virtue of being an Indian and stuff. And that's started to become apparent to me in terms of how I think about being inspired. So it's not even like when I'm in Bombay, it's more about my interactions with people that inspire me and meeting new people, or like spending time with the same people but in different places, having different conversations. Like, that's the most inspiring thing to me. Like, it doesn't matter where I am. Obviously, where I am makes a huge difference. Like, if I'm in some beautiful space, it's by default I'm going to get inspired.
It's all about context, like, and also dualities, like, putting juxtaposing one against the other
Yeah,
that makes you appreciate. But once again, super reflective, man. Like,
exactly.
I like that answer. I wasn't expecting such a deep answer for that, but
I don't know, man.
I mean, super cool, dude. So, I mean, for me, like, the reason I asked was when I lived in New York for 8 years, and one of the places I would go to, it might be cliched, but I would just walk into the MoMA because I had like a free pass with the school over there, so it was just such an easy place to go. And when you just start getting, walk around and start kind of absorbing all these, like, kind of stories, images, it just
Absolutely.
kind of provokes your imagination and in different ways.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm just curious how, like, one would get that kind of inspiration in India, because like you were saying, India is the environment is so different, right? It's like yeah, I don't know, it's which is why I was curious. And Bombay anyway has so much to offer as a city, so
Yeah, yeah. I
visually
mean, like,
also it's like so different. Yeah.
absolutely. Visually, it's an entirely different, it's its own landscape. Like, it's hard to even explain to my friends in college what Bombay looks like because they don't even know what to think. Like, they think like, oh, India. They just think like Taj Mahal and shit. They don't know what to think when you say Bombay. Like, I had to like show them on Google Maps like this is Marine Drive and stuff. And even then they're like, oh fuck, this is a weird looking city because like every other city in the world is very more like it's much more out there in terms of metropolitan and stuff. Bombay is more like its own vibe. So yeah, I mean, like I in the US, I'm going to art museums and stuff a lot. I go to the MoMA in New York also quite a bit, and it's like out there. I feel like in New York and in cities like Boston and stuff in the US, it's kind of like much more established in terms of arts culture because there are a lot of places to go and a lot of places to like just take as like a normal day out. Like, you can go to a museum, you can go to like a concert, there's like gigs happening on the weekends. Like this summer when I was in Boston and New York, I would like go to these like random raves and gigs and meet people over there, and the conversations I have with these strangers would like be like, wow, this is like so amazing, like what the fuck. I would never be able to like, I've never had this in Bombay, but that's also because like I left. I feel like the reason why I don't know enough places to go to in Bombay to feel inspired, even though I could just like find a place and go and feel inspired, is because I kind of left to go to the US at the time in my life where I was pretty much like I didn't know shit. I wasn't like this. I wasn't at all in any way like looking to feel inspired or think about things in a conceptual way at all. I was fresh out of school. I was like, okay, now I'll go to the US. Like, it wasn't anything like I didn't think I was on this journey like this like this self-reflective like this journey within kind of thing. I never thought about it until I was like midway into college, and now I'm going to be a senior, so I'm looking at things in a completely different way that I used to when I started college, or even not even started college. That's the different identity. Like, even midway through college, like it's crazy how much just like growth and change happens in such a short time, especially like this age, like 20 21 kind of stuff. Like,
So from your perspective, I mean, this is a question I ask people I talk to, and I just like know what people have to say. Do you think kind of creativity comes from, is like an instinct, like a moment of inspiration, or does it come from repetition, from doing things over and over again? Like, what is your take on that?
I've always thought it was like a moment where it just hits you and you feel inspired. But in quarantine, as I was saying, like when I was feeling inspired, but nothing crazy, and it's not like I had stimulants to like kind of feel inspired. I was in my house, in my room, like there's nothing new unless I was like I'll just dive into like my TV or like some shit like that, which I don't vibe with. So I would find myself I kind of I disciplined myself to sit every day and try to make beats just like that. I just told myself I have to put out a project this summer, and my album got scrapped, so I have to work on the new EP now. So I'll sit every day, whether or not I like it, and I'll try to put some shit together. And the thing is, like, very often when I'm looking to make a new track, I don't have any idea of what it's going to sound like. I fully go like every millisecond is like like it's I don't know, it's very random. So I'll look for samples, then I'll look for drums, and I'll see, oh, do these drums go with this sample? Maybe I'll switch the sample, maybe I'll switch the drums, maybe I'll shut down the laptop and just not produce today. Like it's a very erratic, extremely like um mood based process where I'm like, it completely depends on the way things are flowing. But in a lot of places, in quarantine last year, I would find myself pushing myself, even when I didn't like the way things were sounding, just to try and fix things that I thought in other ways would be unfixable in terms of how the sound goes with one another, which leads me to like basically believe that because I've experienced this whole like repetition and discipline and like practice kind of wave through quarantine, it definitely works, and it definitely pushes your own mind to take in inspiration from things that you didn't think would give you inspiration. So like that's what I think. But as a person myself, like as just as by virtue of who I am, I feel like my inspiration comes very like a zoom, and I get inspired kind of like in a moment kind of thing, like, oh shit, this is inspiring this shit out of me, and I'll start noting down shit in my notes and all, like, or I'll take pictures. I like taking pictures a lot. I take a lot of pictures. I take a lot
Documentation
of videos.
is important, right? Like whether you're
Absolutely.
writing, photographing, or recording, so that you remember. Because I go back to my archive of notes from even 6 7 years ago, and some of the stuff I'm looking at, I'm like, what was I thinking? But some of it you're like, wow, this actually is pretty deep. It's like, yeah, because at that context I didn't do anything with it, but now I'm like able to actually do something with the same thought I had 10 years, like 6 years ago, or whatever. So it's super interesting,
Totally.
that process. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Man, it's been amazing talking to you. I
absolutely,
think
man.
I've really gotten a sense of who you are as a person, as an artist, and I feel that you have like definitely like an upward trajectory going somewhere. I don't know where. Maybe a psychology teacher. Who knows, dude? I don't know. But do you have any final words? What's if you want to like talk about something that's coming up or anything you want to say?
I don't know, man. I think I've pretty much said everything. Like, this was sick, man. Like, this is definitely like one of my favorite interviews I've ever had. Like, definitely
Nice,
got me thinking, got me
cool,
like in my feels.
cool. Appreciate it, man. Well, then, thank you so much for your time again, and next time we meet, hopefully, will be soon.
Let's just see everything being normal though. Why is everything so fucked?
All these faces, they see me while I'm running all over town. I'm so fucked up, I can't remember what I said, baby, I'm a pretender. I'm so numb, but I'm loving this feeling. Call my phone every night when I'm dreaming.